Now we come to our last panelist, Disha Punn, all the way from Toronto. How are you doing, Disha?
Well, I'm doing fine. It's definitely been a very overwhelming time being away from family and, taking care of my siblings who've just started university this year, and myself, wrapping up things before my graduation and applying for jobs. And it's just funny, everything pretty much changed overnight, and it's caused a lot of panic and anxiety. But I think with every day, it's getting a bit better. Just coming to terms with the fact that in a time that I had to move to a next stage in life, the world has now come to a standstill, and me and everyone in the same boat as me has to still focus on getting a good job, good grades, without losing much time. So it's been hard, but it's going well. And, at this point, my priorities are more to do with the smaller things, like, making sure me and my sister and my brother, they're safe, and getting enough groceries for the week before going down, and trying to keep my mind off of things like, where will I get a better job? Will it be in Canada or will it be back home? So there's obviously a lot going on, and, doing things like cooking, cleaning up, talking to my family is what really keeps me going, trying to find different things to do every day so that it's not monotonous.
Did you ever think, honestly, that you would be hit by this force in the year that you graduated?
I was just talking to my mother about it, that, we were going to select graduation gowns soon. And I was just telling her that all these 4 years, I looked forward to taking a good picture outside my university with my diploma. And, now I sit at home and I'll watch it all online. So it's a different time, but then it makes me realize that, nothing is certain, and we have to be prepared for anything that really comes our way.
So how are you developing yourself sitting at home? I mean, how are you adapting to that as well? You guys are young, full of energy. You guys don't want to be tied down. You don't want to be sitting at one place. What are you doing?
Well, I've thought about a lot of things, and, at this point, with so many things going on and with having very little, I would say, information about the world, just graduating, it's very hard, at least for me, to decide on a solution. But I've thought of a few things, and, as cliche as it sounds, I think now is the time to really think out of the box for everybody, in a time where our business as usual scenarios are really failing to translate into the situation that's caused by the pandemic. I think we have to come up with ways to keep innovating and creating, I think, especially through communication. And, just an example that really inspired me, a few restaurants in Toronto, they're obviously selling their meals, but they're also selling groceries now, and they're selling prepackaged ingredients for people to make meals at home. So, when I look at things like these and I see all these restaurants doing that, it definitely inspires me. And something that I would want to tell everyone hearing this webinar today as well is to recollect all the ideas that we may have had or discussed with our friends or professors at one time, and maybe start turning them into reality with all the time that we have now at home, and how those ideas can maybe adapt to the requirements that are laid out by this pandemic. And that way, especially for people who are here wondering what to do when it comes to applying for jobs, if we start doing things to do with our own personal ideas, we will definitely be more unique and help cut down our competition, because we'll have these skills to display when the hiring process starts again. One way I have adapted myself is I try to make the most of my time sitting at home. And now that I'm not too sure when I'll get a job next, I've kind of started my own startup with two other co-founders. And what we're working on is idea of collaborating real estate with technology. So our aim is to reduce, landlord and tenant interaction and bring it to almost zero. And I think for a situation where it might seem impossible to make this deal virtually, we're trying to embed the need of the hour of social distancing into our business model itself, so that, it's as resilient to any pandemic or situation which may come again, where the world will have to be at a halt. So those are the things that I'm working on, and that's how I'm trying to adapt to the situation.
Wow, you seem to have some amazing sense of clarity at this age, and you're turning around this as an opportunity, because everyone still needs a home or is finding for a home, and if you create the technology around it, I would love this conversation to go on. But just as a closing comment, Disha, what is your advice to your friends and your peers and young students who are listening to us?
I would like to say that, at least in the past few years being away from home, I've learned or really understood the concept of, depending on myself and self-sustenance. And I think that applies directly here when you ask me, how can we build a career staying at home, or what to do next, especially for people listening. For a lot of industries right now, shifting completely to virtual is extremely impossible. And for industries like construction or even for factories, maybe the solution might be to have lesser workers who may start the process, but then it's automated by machines. And that means that, the workforce will reduce and there will be lesser opportunities for jobs for people like us. So I think recent graduates and current students can foolproof their future by depending on their own ideas, instead of looking to find a place to work somewhere else, and developing these ideas using the skills that they've learned, in school or in university. And what I would like to encourage is the ideas of startup. And this is from my own experience. I never thought that I would be able to start something that I believe so passionately in. I don't know enough, but startups are definitely the new name of the game. And there are so many incubators now globally. Even the incubator that I'm working with at the university incubator, they're not shutting down. They're still there, and they believe in promoting all these ideas, and have for us to have as low risk as possible, especially for people like me who don't have a lot of savings to fall back on. And also another thing I realize is that we as people just about to graduate, or people who have already graduated, are at the frontier of coming up with new ideas and business concepts without really having to change or sacrifice anything, which is not the case for a lot of pre-established firms, and who may have to make bigger changes and sacrifices to adapt to this changing paradigm. And it's true, every decision at this point is a risk for everyone. And we as students or people just starting our jobs can take this risk and face lesser impacts than maybe industries that were established pre-COVID. We may lose a lot more time and money, even from making the smaller changes. And I think if we accept that, we will be able to still prosper, creating our ideas, our own startups that emerge right out of this pandemic. And that way we can build a robust economy that will not collapse in case we encounter another lockdown again.
Wow. I think bravo, first of all, bahut badhiya. I think, next time I'm going to nominate you to be the moderator. I think the title take you on, not me, because
thank you.
Spoke so eloquently, and I'm so proud to have you as our last panelist because you summed it up very well. But I think more importantly, you have given us all hope. As youngsters, as you have given us hope that we don't need to be worried because we see the future as bright.